All right. It is July 13th, or as some would call it, March 151st, 2020. And we're taking a peek at the ban and restricted updates here, which hit a wide swath of formats. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work our way up because I've got more to say about the stuff at the top than the bottom. The first thing I would like to draw attention to is actually the implementation date. So once again, Wizards of the Coast is showing us through their actions, regardless of what their words say, that Magic the Gathering Arena and providing a consistent experience. Gruff McGruff, thanks for the biddies. Thanks for the resubs, Jason, CJ, NJ. That Arena's not a priority for Wizards of the Coast. So bans are getting implemented or are announced today. They don't get implemented on Arena for 3 days. And again, this 3-day delay in implementing the bans comes after Wizards of the Coast announced and implemented the Winota suspension with 30 minutes notice previously. Magic Online and Tabletop literally get the update today. So again, Wizards of the Coast can tell us Arena's a priority and their number one digital platform as much as they want, but until their actions reflect their words, that doesn't matter. Working from the top up, Pauper. I don't really have any opinions on Pauper. I haven't really played it, so look to someone else for their thoughts on Pauper. Modern, Arcanum's Astrolabe is banned. That's a good card to remove. I think for people that aren't familiar with this, this card is very similar to something like Gitaxian Probe, in that it comes at a very low cost, has a very reasonable upside, and effectively makes your deck 56 cards. The other thing Arcanum Astrolabe did was it made it strictly incorrect in the competitive sense to not play Snowlands in any deck you were playing in Modern, which meant that this card was an incredible power level nerf to everybody's favorite art basic lands. So everybody can now go back to playing their favorite non-snow basic lands without feeling like they're putting themselves at a competitive disadvantage. So this not only created tedious gameplay and greedy mana bases, but it nerfed people's ability to play their favorite lands, which customizations like that are one of the best parts about playing Magic to me, so that's nice. Mr. Photon, thanks for the 25 months. Thanks for Noxin. Pioneer. Oath of Nissa is unbanned. Is there anything you could really say about the Pioneer unbanning other than LOL? So it's weird to me that the same group of people that ban Ponder and Preordain in Modern have decided to unban Oath of Nissa in Pioneer. And I actually really liked Oath of Nissa as a banning when they did it, because I think sitting there and letting you cantrip and waiting for your opponent to cantrip is really just kind of tedious. And I think having cards like Oath and Ponder and Preordain banned is fine and even good. But the fact that they've now unbanned this in this format while having a hard stance on cantrips in other formats, I do feel like really highlights the kind of inconsistency and among policy that these folks have had. It's so wild to me that they took a hardline stance on combo decks in Pioneer early on, and then they printed Theros and printed 3 new combo decks into the format, and just haven't done anything about them. The fact that Field of the Dead and Smuggler's Copter are currently on the Pioneer ban list is beyond comical. It's just so wild. Historic. Thanks for the 51 months, Marty. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I know you read my tweet, and that's not going to change my subscription here. The most entertaining person I watch on Twitch, so I'll be sticking around. Well, I appreciate all your support over the years. I'm glad to still have you. Gnome, thanks for the 2 years. I'm actually pretty okay with what they did here in Historic. As people may or may not know, we were planning to not allow Wilderness Reclamation in the Hooglandia Open this weekend. And personally, I would have preferred Reclamation banned to Nexus banned, but something from the deck that makes you sit there and wait tediously being removed, I think is a net positive for Historic in general. Is this the card I personally would have removed? No. Am I okay with it being removed? Yeah, I think it's fine. I highlighted this on Twitter, and I want to re-articulate it here. I think the Burning Tree Emissary ban is a pretty big miss. I think that banning Burning Tree Emissary feels like a result of the people who are making the ban list decisions are doing it off of just looking at statistics and not off of actually playing the games and understanding how the games are playing out that lead to the statistics that they're looking at. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Burning Tree Emissary creates some feel-bad moments, but there's a lot of things in Magic that create feel-bad moments. It's just kind of part of the game. Sorry, I think I'm allergic to this banning. And to articulate what I mean by that is, in my opinion, if they wanted to ban a card that was in the Gruul and the red aggro decks, it should have been Embercleave. And the reason why it should have been Embercleave is because mid-range has really struggled in Magic for a long time, and banning something like Burning Tree Emissary doesn't help fix that in Historic. And the reason why this is mid-range decks, for those that are not familiar with what that archetype means, since it's honestly been a while since it's been very good in Magic, is mid-range decks assume different roles in different matchups. So against an aggressive deck, mid-range decks are controlling and the go bigger deck. And against combo and control, mid-range decks are supposed to be the beatdown and apply pressure. Embercleave makes it impossible for mid-range to really be competitive in a diverse format, because Embercleave makes blocking not possible. When all of your creatures have double strike and +1/+1, you can't check the aggro decks by having a board state. You have to check the aggro decks by having a narrow removal spell for something like Embercleave, or by having lots of constant removal spells for all of their individual creatures that Embercleave can go on to. And this puts the mid-range decks in this position where they have to play more removal to be competitive against aggro, but then if they're playing more removal, they're then automatically not competitive in all of the matchups like control and combo, where that removal's not going to have a text box. So, in my experience playing mid-range decks in this format, Burning Tree Emissary, by and large, was not the card that beats you, and looking at how the games play out, it wasn't the problem. It's Embercleave was the problem, because Embercleave makes blocking just not a possibility for keeping boards in check and under control. So I think the Axis of Fate ban is fine. I can disagree with the tool, but I think that's reasonable. I think Burning Tree Emissary is a huge miss. And it's a decision that's driven by looking at statistics without having an understanding of what is causing those statistics to be the numbers that you're looking at. Kenobi, thanks for the 13 months. And Zeal, thanks for the 29 months. Yeah, I think, this is jaded Jeff that's strapping on a tinfoil hat for a second. I also kind of feel like there's a chance that the reason why we're banning Burning Tree Emissary is because we don't want to give people Mythic wildcards for a card that's still standard legal. Yeah, I feel like there's a chance that they understand what's happening, but they aren't allowed to make the correct decision because of the finance aspect is what it feels like to me. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table. Yeah, I think that's a good chance. Sadistic, thanks for 29 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, so and then as far as, so if you missed any of this, I talked about all these other formats, the implementation date at the start. This whole video will go up on YouTube, so you can watch it tonight, or you don't want to wait for my stream to finish. You can go back and watch it from the start on Twitch right away. Why Sticks, thanks for the year and a half. I appreciate it. Welcome back. As far as my personal schedule for the day, again, just circling back to this, I was going to do a bunch of Historic this week, but I don't really want to play against a bunch of soon-to-be suspended or banned cards on Historic for the next 2 days. So, let me make sure I'm not showing you my personal calendar, but I load this up here real quick. My content schedule for the week is going to be, after this, we're going to play a couple of Runeterra decks. I have Magic Online is getting the bans implemented today at 2 o'clock Central. So I'm going to play Modern and Pioneer. I have 2 Moto decks left in my queue, so Tuesday and Wednesday we're going to do Modern and Pioneer on Magic Online, followed by some Runeterra. And then Thursday, we finally get the changes along with Jumpstart. So Thursday and Friday are going to be all Historic. And then Saturday is going to be the Historical Glandia Open. So Jumpstart cards will be legal for the Open on Saturday. The ban list changes will be legal for the Open on Saturday. In addition to everything that's changing in actual Historic, Teferi and Reclamation are still house banned. Even with Nexus being removed, I'm going to leave Reclamation off so people don't have to deal with Expansion Explosion like they do in Standard. We're still leaving Teferi removed because Teferi, just in my opinion, creates very uninteresting, frustrating Field of the Dead, or matches of Magic. Someone just said Field of the Dead in chat and I was reading it. So Teferi and Reclamation will still be banned, in addition to Nexus and Burning Tree Emissary being removed from the format. So the implementation of the things that changed today will happen on the 16th. Those changes, along with Jumpstart, along with the 2 extra cards we're removing, will be happening in the Open. If you're interested in playing in the Open, I'm going to pull that up here to plug really quick. In addition to being subbed to my channel, is a $6 entry fee. This event is again sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. So there's probably getting some echo here. Nope, it's muted. Good beats. There'll be $140, $120, $100 to first, second, and third in prizes. And then past first, second, and third, the rest of these prizes are going to scale based on the number of entrants. So rather than having top 8, top 16, top 32 prizes, past first, second, and third, this double elimination tournament is going to pay out based on match wins. So if you get 5, 6, 7, or 8 match wins and don't finish first, second, or third, you'll get the prizes here. Santos Villa, thanks for the raid. No prizes for O2. There aren't prizes for O2, but we will still have some door prizes for people that go exactly 3-2. As well as door prizes to 2 players with the most creative decks. So, there'll be some extra prizes for some randoms that go 3-2 and some people that get exactly 2 wins. You also need to be able to broadcast your matches to Discord so we can do coverage and all that and stuff too, but and this is, I guess this is a good thing to wrap on too, because it kind of talks about the future of my channel. And we talked about this a little bit, but to close on talking about Standard, let's read what they said here. After careful review of the metagame, we're choosing not to make any changes to Standard at this time. Players who are online 3 and 4, so overall win rates and day 2 conversion rates of most decks, Bant Ramp and Team Reclamation come down to healthier levels. In the weeks following, we've seen other archetypes rise in popularity and stuff. While we agree with the concerns that Growth Spiral and Ramp decks in aggregate have recently represented a larger than ideal portion of the metagame. We do see different archetypes within the larger category behave differently in terms of strengths, weaknesses, etc., etc. With the release of Core Set 2021 and standard rotation coming in the fall, we decided to allow the metagame to continue on its natural evolution. To give you my just quick shout out on standard, I'm not intending to play more standard until rotation happens. I largely feel like a Magic boomer at this point. I've often said that if you don't like a Magic format, you should just move on from it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm moving on from standard. I'm hoping that, you know, rotation happens and maybe mid-range is playable in standard. Mid-range that doesn't involve a slew of ramp spells. It's actually a ramp deck and not a mid-range deck. But, you know, it's hard to know until we get there. We've got Zendikar coming in. So, yeah. Mason, thanks for the 14 months. Asaras, thanks for the 19. So, yeah. I am not planning to touch standard. Even with viewer submissions, I'm rejecting all standard submissions. And we'll get back to standard in the fall. I think historic will probably be fine. I think kicking the legs. So here's the concern, and here's the concern to just talk about historic one more time. When they banned Winota, we expected Nexus to be everywhere, and then Nexus was everywhere. There is a very real chance that with banning Nexus of Fate and banning Burning Tree Emissary, that historic continues to be pushed closer to standard. Banning Burning Tree Emissary pushes out the aggressive decks that can get under the ramp decks, and banning Nexus of Fate bans the go bigger decks that go over the top of the ramp decks. So they've gotten rid of the way to go over the ramp decks. They've gotten rid of the way to go under the ramp decks. So the question is there something else that's left that can be competitive against the ramp decks? Yeah, is there a combo deck, right? So like when we come back from, and actually we were gonna play it today, but I don't want to play it against a bunch of things that are soon to be banned. There's my queue. My website. On the deck queue on my website, we were actually going to play some Grixis Breach today that I actually think could be a very reasonable combo deck in the format if you haven't seen this before. Yeah, and Ramp's getting Explore and Thragtusk too. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if what is predictable happens in historic now that we ban the thing that goes over and under ramp, or will there be something else that we can't account for? All right, that's it for my Magic rants. I'll be back with Magic content tomorrow and every other day this week. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be Magic the Gathering Online, because that application's getting updated right away. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be playing Historic on Arena. But today, rest of today, and then end of tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to play some Legends of Runeterra, because that game does not lame duck their formats for extended periods of time, and they have great communication, and the game's a lot of fun. So let's change some game categories.